Okay, welcome to another episode of Panakal Podcast for Geeks. This one will be about Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, a title I had to put to memory because I just did not care to remember. I don't know how to say that without being a dick. Okay, welcome to my guests today are Andrew Sides and Dan Watson, who is joining. Dan is joining us from the UK, so I think you might be my first international guest, maybe.
Yeah, you must have had someone international before.
It's really hard to get an international. Like I got Jamila on hopefully next week or the week after, and it's time. Like in this case, it worked out right because it's like what 5 p.m. there right now.
Yeah, about
Yeah. So in this case, it kind of worked out. But sometimes like the guests are on. I don't like making my guests get up super early if they don't have to. I mean, I know it sucks for some of you guys on the West Coast. So let's just get right into it. Hold on. My audio started playing on 2 channels for some reason. Okay. So obviously all 3 of us watched this movie. You guys watched this first and you were like ranting about it in the group, the Discord chat. And I could not avoid
strong feelings.
Yeah, I could not avoid not watching it because part of me was like, I don't want to watch this movie because again, I read all your rants.
I was gonna say, was it the running list of like just things we were listing in the movie, like Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire"?
Yeah, I'm just pulling up my notes too. But I was like, these guys really don't like this movie. So I was like, do I want to watch this movie? Do I want to watch this movie? But I'm also like, and I've said this multiple times on the show, and I've said this to you guys, I believe, in the chats, but I'm very like easygoing when it comes to some movies. Like I like also, Dan, just so you know, we can go off topic and come back, so don't sweat it if you have opinions about other things. Like I was gonna say, I like movies like The Rocketeer and everybody hates it, right? And it's not the greatest movie in the world. So
I've never understood the hate. I like that movie too, but I've never really understood the hate for it. It's
so
a very clean, simple movie, but
yeah, this movie was yeah. I mean, this movie I felt initially when I started watching, I thought this movie has potential to just be a campy zombie flick, right? Like you could have. I almost leaned into this is just a campy zombie flick. I can run with this, no problems here. But then Snyder just does a bunch of garbage where it's hard to watch and not be like, why? You have all the money in the world.
Because it feels like just throwing like everything out to be like, oh, this is all just for the sequel. And it's like, you don't know if you're going to have a sequel. And I get the idea of like, if you don't know if you're going to have a sequel, you want to like basically put your whole effort in.
Right.
But there is also tact in knowing like how much is too much. You got to pull back a little bit because everything is thrown in this, and yet.
Yes, go on.
Sorry, this will be my first tangent with this. So, like, not even regarding all the other stuff that we're going to get into, and I know we're going to get into it. The biggest gripe, one of the bigger gripes I have is like it's set in Las Vegas, and I want to say outside of like 10 minutes in the movie, it literally could have been set anywhere else.
Sure.
Like so many of the scenes are so bland and boring, and there's not enough. Like you're in Vegas, like have more set pieces involving like dilapidated casinos and that kind of thing, and they do like almost none of that.
I wonder so easy for them to follow through with a campy fun film, which is what they lead it up to be. Because in the trailer, and in like the first 5 minutes during like the credit sequence,
the intro is
it's
great.
like, this is going to be a fun zombie film. Nope, it's not. It's just going to be another Zack Snyder piece of shit.
I mean, okay, so that's where I think you guys and I differ a little bit. Like I honestly was, I forgot what I was talking this morning. I don't hate Zack Snyder movies. I actually find them somewhat okay. But this one was the first time I watched I was telling Carrie this. This is one of the first times I've seen a Snyder flick where I'm just like, I fucking hate what's happening here, right? Like, just the little things. Like,
and I wonder then if that's like, because I've heard Snyder describe this as like, this is, lack of a better word, this is his most Snyder movie yet. I think he said something to that effect of the words.
It's his what now?
That's like this, his most Zack Snyder movie yet.
Oh, okay, great.
As in, like, I'm assuming like what he meant was or that might have been someone else that framed it that way. Like, this is the one with the least interference from executives or other outside forces, kind of thing.
Sure.
It's like, oh, buddy, if it is, we got to talk.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like he had. That's what I was telling. That's what we were talking about the other day. I was saying I feel like he had the money, and he just was like, "I'm gonna have a good time with it," right? Because he was doing. There's like when you were talking about how he filmed with a specific lens so he can have dead pixels in it, right? And you're just like, why? Nobody would catch that unless you told them.
No, it wasn't that he intended for it to be dead pixels. The issue is that the lens that he uses for most of the movie is a lens that has an f-stop of 0.95, which is insane to think about. Like, it's an f-stop of 0.95. That's a thing that's really only reserved for like extremely low light scenarios. Like, there's a Stanley Kubrick movie where, oh, I forget the name of it. There's these actors that are talking around like a dinner table or whatever, and it's lit entirely by candlelight, and the candlelight is the only light in that film. Like, there's no other artificial light to bump up the scene or anything. But to do that effect, he had to use like a lens that had that kind of low f-stop to get that amount of light coming in, because candlelight really doesn't come across on film. Like, it just doesn't get picked up at all. To be able to get that amount of sensitivity out of it, you have to go really, really low on your f-stop to be able to allow that much light in. But that also means like you're introducing a lot of noise into your film as a result.
Yep.
You have a very incredibly shallow depth of field. So at least like with Stanley Kubrick, a lot of the shots in that scene are locked off. Very like, it's very straightforward. It's like shot, reverse shot, wide shot kind of thing in one or two scenarios. But most of it's like only like 3 relatively different shots. And Zack Snyder takes like the same lens and it's like, cool, I'm going to shoot outside in full brightness.
Broad daylight.
Yeah, broad daylight, and I'm going to shoot it on the lowest f-stop I can imagine. So the issue that happened was, that's why I think most of the movie, it looks terrible, because according to the credits, he had no director of photography on hand to tell him like, hey, this is
just
a
him.
bad idea.
Yeah.
It's just him. So like a lot of the action scenes have that weird, dreamy, like out of focus look. So it's hard to really see anything. But then on top of that, because there's so much light being let in, the sensors on the cameras, and I believe he used red cameras, the sensors on the cameras are getting so overblown that some of the pixels are just getting overloaded and defaulting to a bright white because it can't process any more information. And he seemed to not notice that during the rest of the filming, that, hey, some of my scenes are causing these pixels to like wig out. Because you'll see it like in later on scenes when it's like really dark scenes or whatever. You have these like 1 or 2 bright spots that are standing out, but it's only in certain shots. Other shots, there might have been another camera that had no problem with the sensors at all, with the image at all with that. It's just luck of the draw with the cameras. But it's still like, first off, you had that creative decision, and then someone in production didn't even like think to like, hey, we have to clean that up, which is insane. But goodness.
I mean, I think it also has a little bit of that, that's his like MO all the time, right? Like, I mean, he likes to, I don't know how to say this other than he likes to fuck around with the camera. Like, you know, in his eyes, he was like, like, he spends time trying to come up with the cool shots, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, right? Like, I would say most of the time it doesn't. So
before we get too far, I want to kind of like establish a baseline. So like, I know you, Alan, you're like okay with Zack Snyder for the most part, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I enjoyed, like, like, obviously we talk about 300. 300 was great because he actually stuck to the main story. He didn't deviate too far from it,
right? And
he used the actual Frank Miller layouts as his storyboards, so it didn't go too far. Watchmen, we talked about. He did, in my opinion, he did really great with Watchmen, except for the end where he switched out the giant squid for a nuclear bomb. And the Batman versus Superman films, I felt like they had really mediocre writing. Welcome to DC. Filming wise, I didn't think he filmed it that bad. I know a lot of people are upset with the dark way he filmed everything. Like he made DC characters darker, and the polar. I think he did that because if you look at the Marvel universe, the Marvel characters are bright and I'll say happy. And so he was trying to do a different route and say DC is more dark and depressing, maybe. But that part of it was like weird to me. But I didn't hate it, but I didn't like love it. I think his version of Batman was pretty cool. I could sit through a whole movie of that.
Dan, how about you? Like, have you always kind of been like on the fence of like I don't really care for Zack Snyder films, or is it like been how would you describe your relationship with his movies?
In the past, I just never really took any notice. Like I thought he was, I knew him as a director, and I thought he was kind of mediocre. But this is the first film where I've really gone, hang on a second.
Yeah,
He's
you guys
had the most control over this one, and this is what it looks like. And it's gotten me thinking, like all the films which are like better than mediocre. I'm like, how much of that was Snyder? How much of that is someone else like helping him out and pitching it?
The one movie of his that I halfway enjoy, which is Dawn of the Dead.
I actually like that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. There's things in it that is Zack Snyder because that's his directorial debut, I believe, and there's stuff in that
it's his first long film. He's done video shorts before, but
okay, I didn't know that.
There's stuff in that is very much like Zack Snyderisms that are more what's the word? More evident in like later films of his that I really don't care for, and maybe that's.
Can you give us like
later?
Yeah, I was gonna say give us an example later. I'm curious.
It's a lot of like, I guess to not put too fine a point on it, it's a lot of his like. It seems to be a lot of his like libertarian, Ayn Randian background, or at least.
Sure.
It's weird because he claims that he's not that at all. He's very progressive, but it's. You're saying that one thing, but a lot of your films have a subtext of a different thing, and there's a lot of his films that have like very strong objectivist ideals and viewpoints, like Watchmen and even Dawn of the Dead has that too, where a lot of the characters go from being concerned about others to like that being like, oh, we don't care about you, oh, you're infected, you're dead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And going to like a straight killer mode as soon as possible. But what I was going to say was the Dawn of the Dead movie was actually written by James Gunn, and I think a lot of like the strengths of that script are from him.
Sure. Definitely didn't.
And I think
then of course with Watchmen, he's got the entire comic book series to lean on as well.
Yeah, but even that, like for an example, like I felt like with the Watchmen film. He restructured the whole thing to basically. Well, actually, no. It's not like he restructured it, but like, okay, in the comic book, you're kind of seeing things through most of Rorschach's viewpoint, but you're not really getting a sense that, hey, you should be siding with Rorschach on this. Like a lot of the things that Rorschach is saying and doing, you're kind of like, I don't know if I agree with you, guy.
I mean, he's designed to be
Oh, okay.
Rorschach is designed to be a volatile character like that, right? Part of you is supposed to be like, this guy's got a point about this thing, but then part of you is like, ooh, that's extreme.
Yeah, but my frustration with him in the film is that Snyder has cast him in a different light, where he's more like a Batman, where you're kind of rooting for Rorschach, where it's like. He's like, oh, you're not trapped in here, or what does he say?
So I'm not trapped in here with you.
You're trapped in here with me.
Yeah.
Just like this podcast, you're trapped with my saltiness, whether you like it or not.
I mean, they can leave this podcast.
There's a lot of things like that with Zack Snyder that I'm kind of like, the more I've thought about it, I was kind of like, damn, like for a long time, I was just like, I'm not like a big fan of his style and his look. Like there was really only the one movie I liked. The more I've thought about it over the years, I'm kind of like, wow, I really don't like these. I mean, there's specific reasons why I don't like them. And strangely enough, this recent movie has a lot less of his usual bullshit that I don't like. Sure. There's so many like basic storytelling things that make no damn sense, that they basically equal out. Like anything that he left at the table, like his usual like Snyderism, he's brought instead like this whole other things of like, none of this makes sense. We're just throwing it in here.
Yeah, I mean, like,
time.
Spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about the movie.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing that really bugged me about the movie was how easily everybody was just on board to go into quarantine zone, full of zombies.
Fucking Death City.
Yeah, you're gonna die if you go in there unless you're properly trained. But people were just like, and it wasn't even like the military people. I get it because they're like, we're trained for this. There's a good chance we'll survive, right? We know how to sneak around, get through.
Spent,
we've been in there. We know
what's escaped before.
I know what to expect. Scene. Yeah, and then you got the people like the YouTube gangbangers, and the locksmith, and his daughter is a prime example. Who's like, I'm coming with you whether you like it or not. I'd be like, somebody handcuff her to something. Let's go. Instead he's like,
there's like 100,000 zombies in there. What are you talking about?
And you want to look for your friends? I hated that character so much. By the way,
me too, mate.
Like the whole time I thought,
I really hated.
I hated that character. The daughter's character. Initially, I thought, oh, she's actually listening. And they had that bonding moment where he's partying at the generator, and I thought, cool, she's playing ball. And then she just leaves, and I'm just like, fuck.
She fucking goes off by herself in a zombie-infested city.
Yeah, I'm like, everybody's gonna get killed because of her.
I'm really amazed that she got out of there alive.
I'm not surprised that the most problematic character in that movie is the one that survived the whole thing. I was like, motherfucker.
Really, oh my god.
And then little things were
problem with her right at the end, but I think we should save that for later.
I mean, I had a list of tiny things, and one of the tiny things that got on my nerves was Batista's character's always having to wear his glasses to do stuff, and I'm just like, he seems fine without them, but then he needs them to do
when he's aiming. Yeah,
when he's aiming, he's just killing things left and right. He's not popping glasses on, but then he's over here trying to start the generator, and he's putting his glasses on to check it. I'm like, why? And those little things bug me, I'm just like, what's the point of that?
I kind of get it. Like, I guess if he's, what is it, nearsighted? Or
sure.
If he's farsighted, so he needs, reading glasses. Is that what it is?
Farsighted. No.
Right? That actually means, you can see far, but you can't see up close.
Correct.
Is that how it is? Okay. Yeah, I get that. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll take that conceit. That's a fun little character touch kind of thing. I can't, for me, the convoy intro, I was kind of like, this seems kind of dumb. You guys don't have a better container for this thing? Because, oh,
right. It just, rolls out and the door opens up.
Right. But, even that, that was one of those things I was kind of like, I know for a fact that, nuclear material is transported in convoys, and they're usually in, a container that can take a crash. It can survive a crash and never leak or anything.
The convoys for nuclear containers are huge. They have several lorries, several decoy lorries, several more trucks. If you go back and watch the start, the car that's in front of the truck, guiding it, just swerves out of the way of this car and lets the truck collide with this other car.
That dude was like, nope, I'm not playing chicken today. And it's just your job is to ram into that first car.
You're in a fucking armored tank. You are going to demolish that car. Nothing's going to happen to you.
And that bugged me, but I was willing to be like, okay, I'll accept it as a suspension of disbelief because we got to get this movie kicked off somehow.
Right, you got to start it up.
Yeah, it was it unnerved me, or it bugged me, but I was like, all right, fine, I'll eat my peas if we get to dessert. But then you lost me. You lost me when you got to the. It wasn't even a huge consequential thing. It was just them talking about how they're dividing up the money.
Yes.
And how it's not being that bugged me so much that it was you have $50 million. You're not splitting this evenly. Instead, you're giving the safecracker. And we talked about this.
He got $250,000.
Every single day
for that.
And at no point did any
movie. And I'm not sure if you're still watching, if you haven't, but they get offered 10 million to go into fucking Death City, surrounded by zombies, and each person they ask, they get offered progressively less.
No, they get offered 50 million.
50.
Oh yeah,
50.
Much. And they were
and Batista's character, The Batista's character, the black dude with the saw, and then his army female friend, I forget her name. Those three took 15 million each.
And then
so
the next
35.
one was Tignataro that they offered it for 2 million, or was
yeah, and then they divvied it up down the line to the rest of them, basically.
That's absurd.
And I was just like, what's happening?
Fucking important.
But the thing was, like, none of them, they all get in the same room, and none of them took a minute to say, how much are you getting paid to do this job? Right? Because I would have been like, I'm getting paid $2 million. And you would have been like, wait a minute, I'm only getting $250,000. You can't even get to that.
15 million. Well,
yeah. You can't even get to the money.
That important to this mission at all. No, I'm the safecracker. Really?
You can't even get to the money without the safecracker,
you know? Safecracker? We have another main one who's getting paid more. No, I'm the only safecracker they're taking.
Yeah.
Untrained.
Okay.
I'm the main one.
Sure.
I really thought he was going to shoot the gun at his foot or accidentally shoot a character. Because, like, when he points the gun at that dude, and he's like, don't point the gun at me. And then he shoots that zombie, and he's, like, spinning it around and being goofy. And I was like, at some point, this dude's going to kill himself. Which would have been brilliant. Oh, our safecracker is dead. He shot himself in the face. Yeah. You know?
Okay. That's a brilliant point. Sorry, Andrew, do you want to go for this?
There's something later on. Well, I guess there's something later in the movie that we can talk about in a bit or whatever that I think kind of explains that. And if it does, I really hate it. Because it's just another thing to add on. But there's a whole, allegedly a time travel thing to this too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they talk about when those bodies are by the vault, right?
Right. And did you... Actually, we can talk about this now.
Just talk about it.
Quick. So did you notice...
Hit me with it.
Yeah, so did you notice that the skeleton corpses all had, like, very specific items on them?
Yeah. That, like, I figured when that guy was telling you the story, like, being like, what if we've done this already and we failed the first time? I was like, and then they show you, like, the chain, the lock with the key with the lock around the girl's neck is around the dead, and then the bandana, and I was just like, yeah, that could be a cool angle. They don't lean on it, though.
That's the thing. It's like everything else in this movie. They just throw it out there, and then they're like, "Oh, scene's over. We got to go on. We can't explore this anymore."
Yeah.
I almost think that might have been one of the more developed ideas, though, because so like for an example, like that key on the corpse, it has a
little heart.
On the ornament head, like there's 3 holes in it, and on I can't even remember the actress's name or even the actress's character's name. The one that is carrying the key though, like her key has 4 holes on the ornament head.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It makes like a clover leaf. So yeah, so there's implications that this is maybe their like 4th attempt to access this vault, and like maybe each time they've gotten a little bit closer. Another thing that people wonder that I saw their speculation about was like, if the safecracker has never held a gun before, he's awfully confident at shooting those bottles off the fence.
Yeah. I was like, he like hit 3 of them, and I'm just like, But then that could see, now you got me thinking about this time travel theory, because that could lead back to the fact that he's gone through some training, so he knows how to do that part of it.
And it's like muscle memory that's like left over from the before time or whatever. If there is, I guess if there is any like idea that's a little more baked than the general zombie idea, that seems to be one of the more further along. But even then, they don't explain it much beyond that, and it's still like a background noise. Like,
I mean, so like how you said that he's kind of leaving it open for multiple parts. So Dan just dropped.
Looks like we lost Dan for a second.
No, Dan, come back. Yeah, we'll see.
Or did we just lose his video?
Hello.
Oh, we just lost your video. Okay, you're still here.
I think I'm bit in and out.
Yeah, you're kind of. Well, we can keep going. We'll see if you pop. Can you hear us, Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Your video's just gone. That's all. Okay, no worries there.
The other thing I'm trying to, man.
I was going to say was that I think that leads back to the idea you said earlier about Snyder setting it up for part 2 or whatever. Like, there's probably a chance that, you know, if he were to lean into that time travel concept, he could make a whole other movie about it, right? Like, these people were trained, and in this sequence, this is how they failed, and or in this sequence, they actually survive. Like, maybe it doesn't end with only one character surviving, and maybe more characters survive, or multiple characters.
If that's true, and this time travel theory is correct, I think that's a huge fucking problem, because he spent all this time on this like secret subplot instead of on any actual characters.
Yeah, he didn't develop the characters.
I wanted to get into this really quickly because we talked about the cinematography a bit, and for me, that was one of the least egregious examples of this film. The writing is absolutely
so
abysmal.
clunky.
Like, several characters can just not be there, and the script doesn't change.
Right.
The security dude doesn't have to be there because he kills that one girl who's a badass, and I would have liked her in the film more.
I would have liked to see her through the whole film.
His actions take no consequence on anyone. Like, he locks them behind the grate, but they immediately just use the saw in the same location. They get out. He goes off and dies somewhere, and they don't even realize he's dead.
True.
Yeah.
And he's killed by the zombie tiger, which I also think is a really cool concept and an awesome character, and I would have loved to see more, or have it been paid off in a good way, but instead we get this really awful, like, dragged out, gory death scene with the security guy.
Yeah, which there was no need for that. That could have been 10 seconds, done. If even 10 seconds. Could have been like a 5-second thing of him being like, oh, and then the tiger just...
Yep, you could have just left it. You could have just left it at that sequence where he shrugs and sees the tiger, and then you could have left. A good way to do it would have been just leave it for the audience to decide. Because then you could basically be like, I survived the tiger and I came back later, or something.
Everything with the security guard, and I know we talked about this earlier in the week, but like everything with security guard bugs me to no end because all that subterfuge and everything there's no need for it.
Nope.
You don't have to tell that, like, you could have just said to all the people, like, hey, we need a crew to come in because we want to harvest one of these zombies. We'll pay you $50 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They could have just run with it that way.
He could have stayed outside, waited for them to come back out.
He could have been. He could have just flown a helicopter into. Oh, I guess there's no no-fly zone. Never mind.
He could even. They could even gone in and like this. This was one of those things that like it didn't bug me until after the movie finished, and I realized, oh my god, this could have ended like within the first 20 minutes or whatever it took them to get into the zombie thing. Like as soon as they go in, the queen shows up, right there.
Right.
Yep.
And he could have just said, "Oh, I need her."
By the way, I need a sample of her blood. Can you guys help me get that real quick?
Yeah. Oh, can we decapitate her?
Yeah. Why wasn't that just in like? Why wasn't that in the brief? Like when they were just around the styrofoam model. Like if you're there, while you're in the safe, can you get a sample of this zombie blood?
Out of any zombie that you're killing.
Yeah, literally anyone. And we got this security guard who has this random fucking hard-on, which is incredibly disturbing for the zombie queen. And it just, I don't know, just his entire presence in this film is kind of sickening.
I forgot about that.
I really want my camera to come back.
Try turning your, in Discord, just try turning it off and back on.
Yeah, I have.
Twice. You could also...
I could rejoin this is just, real quick.
Yeah, you could just rejoin. This is just a Discord call. She'll let you drop back in.
All right. Be right back.
Moment of truth. Let's see if Dan comes back. I'm pulling up the rest of my notes.
You guys were way smarter than I was. Like you guys actually kept notes. I had this stuff all trapped in my head.
No, I was not only was I writing notes, I was giving you guys a play-by-play in the group chat, right in the Rusty, where I was like, I was like looking at like so things that like little things bother me, right? Like we talk about this the Japanese guy sending his accomplice with him. It's like, how do you not look at that guy and say this guy is up to no good? I don't want him with us.
Again, they could have sent. Okay, it's like you could have done it one or two ways. You could have done the bank vault thing. Like it really could have just been a straight like I need my money, and I'm sending my guy in to make sure you don't run off with my money entirely. Which also a minor thing because this is like you just gotta wave it away as Hollywood movie magic bullshit. But like $200 million would be impossible, like physically impossible to extricate with helicopter. With the helicopter they had. And
that's the one that that's the one thing I wrote in my notes. I was like, how? It's heavy as fuck.
Yeah, like all that money, it's physically impossible to move it with one of those.
Really, as someone worked it out.
Yeah,
I mean, somebody could just work out the math.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, someone did the math. I think it's like those helicopters have like a load weight of 4,000 pounds, and just like the 50 million alone edges it close to that with when you factor in also the people that you have to carry back.
Yeah, so I mean, I wrote, how the flip do they expect to get out with all the money plus the people in this tiny copter? Oh, I got it. Yeah. Kill more people. You know, like, I mean, you have to, that's the solution, right? You're going to basically kill more people off. Because I was like, there's no way. I mean, and the helicopter was a piece of shit. So I'm just like, it's been sitting there for months, right? And it's unbelievable that there's nothing on the rooftop with them.
So
how long a time was it in story?
Like, I don't think they
did a year pass, or was it several years?
Pardon?
I don't remember the timestamp between them sealing off Vegas and them going back in. Like, how long was it?
I want to say it's relatively recent because it still seems to be talked about as a thing that everyone's trying to figure out. This is a minor like Snyder bullshitty thing, and this kind of speaks to the fact that I think he's a mostly incurious individual that like puts political statements in his work without thinking of the ramifications of it. But the whole like temperature check thing, I think he was trying to make a statement about COVID with that. I'm not really sure because again, it's like so malformed and half-baked that I don't know if he was actually legitimately trying to make a statement or not. But that
I think Snyder is such a showy idiot. I have no idea whether this was on purpose or completely by accident.
I don't think he's that proactive in his thinking.
I don't think he is, but like it's also that kind of thing of like he sees something and he puts it in to be topical, but doesn't think about like how does that work in a larger thing, because like that and the refugee camp thing were both the kind of things I'm like I think you're talking about something here, but I don't think you have enough formed of an opinion.
Why was that camp so I was trying to figure out why that camp was so close to the perimeter of
I don't know.
Like it made no sense to me. Like why would you set it up right next to those containers?
Yeah, they don't have to be in Vegas. They could have been moved to any other city nearby. They could have been.
I mean, the people just could have been moved like 2 miles up the road, just 2 miles away. But for some reason, they're like, we're gonna set it up right here next to these crates, and then you guys can't go anywhere unless you pay your way out. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. Why are they like? They never really explain that. Like,
I want to say, if I remember it right, I think the implication was these people were displaced recently from Vegas, and this kind of speaks to the fact that like, I don't think Snyder's thinking through a lot of what he's trying to show. Where I think he's trying to make the statement like, oh, they're infected, but we don't know if they're infected, so they need to stay at this refugee camp until we clear them. That's why there's like random temperature checks and stuff.
Which would have been nice if they explained it.
Mm.
Yeah. Instead, it's just left there, and you just got to draw your own conclusions on it.
I think that entire premise of just Zack Snyder, like sleeping face down in a hammock somewhere, then randomly shouts out an idea every 10 minutes, and someone with a clipboard writes it down, and they go, put that in a film, and they go, zombie tiger, that's awesome. And I really, really wish someone would think about how to implement it better, because that zombie tiger was so cool. And there's so many little concepts that had so much potential. Like, as you were saying earlier, Andrew, like, think of all the things you could do. Like, you could have a zombie being smacked around with a roulette table, or like, the setting was so good.
They don't really use any of Vegas. Like,
they use the strip for that one shot, and they run through a gambling hall.
Yep. That's it.
Other than that, it could be anywhere.
The closest thing we got to it, where it's like, but they didn't even really use it. To be honest, it's just there.
Like they could have used, like I agree, they could have used like a slot machine or
you could have had someone pull a slot machine and then like a bunch of old coins come out and that like trips up a zombie like
it's like jackpot,
style. Yeah.
I knew any of that. I was
could have had fun stuff like that. Instead, it's just we got to go from this apocalypse dilapidated area to this other apocalypse dilapidated area to the vault, and that's that. But there's so many story ideas in this. It's like the movie's like half like interesting ideas that don't get explored, and then half like really dumb ideas that don't make any sense. And when they're all combined, they really, really don't make sense.
Quick side note, Dan, if you have anything else that could be capturing your video, it would do this. Like if you have anything else on that might use video,
Yeah,
Like,
I'm literally just going through like Discord troubleshooting now, trying to fix it
oh,
as we
okay.
speak.
Well, I mean, like if you've got like a Hangouts window open or a Facebook Messenger, they butt heads on trying to share video. But back to the movie, I was like the tiger. Like I like the fact that you're like he's sitting in a hammock just yelling out ideas. Because when they put in the zombie baby, I was just like, what? But then
What the fuck?
I had no idea what to make of it. You know, I was just like,
random things just keep on popping up in his
like,
movies, and they're cool ideas. Like someone took the time to write them down, but like any development or forethought or integration into a script is lacking. I think
there's like 3 or 4 big ideas that they really like. If he was going to use it, it should have just been the movie about that and only that, and the other ones should have just gone away. Like it should have been a movie. It should have been one of these 4 things. It should have been a movie about like, hey, we're trying to harvest a zombie, and make the movie about that. Maybe it's like a cat and game kind of thing. Like you see the queen initially, but then something happens, you can't get her at first, and you're chasing her throughout the whole thing.
Sure.
It could have been just the straight bank heist, and have it just be that. Really, kind of like, I guess, throw away a lot of the other ideas with the zombies and all that. That's another idea. You could have had the time travel thing. That could have gone in with the bank heist.
Yeah, I like the concept of the time travel.
Yeah, you could have had the bank heist thing, but like the bank heist thing didn't really matter because the main story would have been the fact that like this is the 4th time they've done this, and they don't realize they're stuck in a time loop. And
again, I just feel like at the end of filming, they're like, oh, and it's time travel. Zack Snyder shouts out from his mystical hammock again.
And then the last idea, which I think...
And they go, but Zack, how should we implement this? Oh, just stick 4 skeletons near where they're robbing the safe and put the same jewelry on them. Anything else? Right. Nope.
Nothing else. We'll roll with it.
The audience will figure out what I'm talking about. I mean, we're kind of doing it, but you know.
I was going to say the main story idea that I think that is in his movie, and this could have just been a whole movie on itself. It could have been like them going in for whatever reason. It could have been like because they have to rescue. Actually, it could have just been because they have to rescue someone. Like someone got trapped in there. They like maybe like you dissolve the whole businessman idea instead, and like crap. What's Batista's daughter's name in this? Kate.
We don't know any of the characters' names. I cared that little for them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to say her name was Kate.
Dave Bautista's like daughter, like she could have just come to him and been like, I have a friend that's trapped in there. Can you help me rescue her? You couldn't save mom. Maybe you could save.
Oh yeah,
her.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and then you go in there and then you realize like she's trapped in there, but like the zombies are holding her because they're building this society or whatever. And then you have that whole thing where you realize like, oh my god, the zombies aren't just shamblers. They're developing like their own society. We have to like, if they get out, like this could spell the doom of everything, or we have to learn to live with them, or something of that.
Something. Regard. They don't even go into the fact that the king shows up with a metal faceplate because he's smart enough to know
he made himself a bullet.
Yep.
A bullet-proof.
He didn't protect his neck though. They could have cut his head off.
Well, right at the start of the film, he fights like 6 fully trained soldiers, all with automatic assault rifles aiming at him. I assume at least some of those bullets hit him in the head. No, okay, we're just gonna carry on with the film.
No, if he didn't, he would
Zack
never go to
Snyder
Vegas.
Away.
Yep, he would never make it into Vegas to infect it if they shot him in the
but that
face.
would cut off the whole film. Then maybe you should change the intro, Zack Snyder. Maybe you should.
And then there's like, okay, I don't know if you guys felt this way with a lot of things. There's a lot of like, we kind of talked about with the casino, but there's a lot of other tiny ideas, and I'm like, if you took the time to develop it, this would have been a fun scene gag of some kind. Like the one thing they had at the beginning that was like a throwaway line, like the shamblers, they're so mindless that they just stand out in the sun and they're dried out, but like they're basically desiccated, but if if it rains, they come back to life.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that. That's a neat idea.
I thought for sure they would work that in there somewhere. Yeah. I thought I was like, okay, they've literally told you how these things come back to life. So that tells me at some point they're going to work that into this movie. No.
Right? Yeah, if
Right?
that was something like maybe they're trying to like get out of like they finally got everything, whatever it is that they have to get, they have to get out of the Vegas, and as they're getting out of Vegas, oh, it's starting to rain, and
At
everything's coming
one
back to
point
life.
they even mentioned the sprinkler systems, which leads me to think at some point when they set off
Oh,
the fire, they were going to have the sprinklers go off and wake up all these zombies. And I
Yep.
think Zack Snyder, I don't know, someone forgot, or maybe it was in there and it was cut later. Or I don't quite know how a script ends up in that condition, where it's just
You know what's
utterly
gonna happen,
broken.
right, guys? We're gonna get a Army of the Dead Snyder cut.
Oh god!
I think this is the Snyder cut though.
No, we're gonna get the Snyder cut. It's gonna have your shamblers come to life with the water. It's gonna have a scene where the two zombies are having sex to make the zombie baby. It's gonna have it's gonna have the other tiger, because there's two tigers in that show. What happened to the second one, guys? What else can they?
I'm gonna tell you, I don't think I can sit through that movie was 2.5 hours long. I don't know if I can sit through more than 2.5 hours.
You guys got my rant while I was sitting through it. I literally was just like, there's a point where you watch a movie and you know it's bad, and you're just like, I could just walk away from this right now. But then in my head I was like, I need to know how this ends. Like, even if it ends as shitty as it did, like, I was super pissed at the end of that movie. Like,
right?
I was just like, I have to finish this. I was so mad at the end of that movie because I was just like, of course, this character that causes all the grief survives.
It wasn't just that. That was such a golden opportunity for a tender character moment. Did you
guys... Oh,
sorry, Andrew. Just let me finish this bit for a second.
Yeah.
So the dad and the daughter don't like each other because the daughter saw his dad murder his mum as she was turned into a zombie. And then it's later revealed that the dad didn't comfort her or try to talk with her. He just tried to move on with their life. Now, instead of relating back to that at all, he just lets him he tells his daughter, "You have to kill me. I'm turning into a zombie." Right. Where he could have gone, "Let me do it. You don't have to. I don't want you to go through the same thing I did." And then it hands off screen. You hear the gunshot, and she starts crying.
Yeah.
Far more tender.
We need to write a zombie movie.
Could it
We do.
I know.
I really need to get my camera on. Can we record on anything else, or should I just try rejoining again?
I would, if anything, I would just maybe turn off Discord and come back in. You should be able to just get back into this group chat because we're all in the same chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't be too salty without me.
We'll give it a minute. We'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes right now.
I know we haven't talked about the robot zombie yet, but we'll talk about that once Dan rejoins.
Right. It's in my notes because I either A, was in such a state of mind I didn't see them, or I did see them and I was in such a state of mind because I was literally at one point I was just watching this movie, like I said, I was just like, I need to get through this, right? Like I need to just get.
It was in the casino hall scene, and it's like a blink and you miss it kind of shot.
It's the scene at the end where they're all kind of like running away, or when they first walk in.
Oh God.
Because they only use that sequence twice, really. Well, let's see if Dan gets back in. There's Dan. What is throwing off this dude's video? I checked the video setting. Nothing is disabled for you guys. Video is on. The only...
Is it just
Yeah. Hey, man. The only time it really does this is if some other program is trying to hijack his camera.
Huh.
So my guess is something turned on.
Why just start halfway through the call instead of just doing it?
Something maybe. I mean, are you like? I mean, close out Chrome maybe.
Close out normal Chromes.
What else do you have open? Something's trying to hijack your camera. That's what's doing this. Or check your settings in. What?
I only had Chrome open.
Oh, you only had Chrome open? Also checked your audio video settings. Make sure it's actually seeing your camera.
Well, it saw it for the first half hour of the call.
Yeah. Something changed.
Dropped off.
I don't understand why Discord would cut out in the middle. unless it's having trouble with the feed. But this specifics, I don't know if you guys get my Nitro Boost or not, if I share it, but...
I'm not sure, to be honest. Let me ask you guys, did you end up doing the time check in the middle of the movie? Because we hit a point where I think they get to the hotel or the whatever where the vault is, and I went, wow, we must be near the end, huh?
Oh,
And
God. Yeah.
I paused it and I realized we still had like an hour and 15 minutes left, and I was like, holy shit, how is it going to be this much longer?
Yep. That, I mean, I was trying to like keep up with how much time they had to get out of there, but yeah, there was a moment where I paused and I was just like, holy, like I messaged you guys where I'm like, oh my God, there's 45 minutes left still, you know? Like,
exactly.
Like,
how
what?
can the film be so long and drag on so long and yet none of the characters be relatable at all?
Dan,
it like dragged on for so long, and yet I don't know, man.
Hey Dan, we were trying to figure out when you were restarting Chrome, where did the robot zombie show up in the first scene of the casino hall, or was it the second scene of the casino hall? When they were trying to get in, or when they were trying to get out?
I think I only remember it.
It's only like one, like...
It was near the end, because they were like outside near the statue, and they were shooting, and it revealed like this metal skeleton with like blue LEDs on the inside.
Oh, it must have been on the way in then.
Could have been, yeah.
I
like,
think
I totally don't...
It might have been on the end.
The coyote and the security guy was capturing the queen for the second time.
Oh, okay.
And they had
I definitely don't remember.
And they had a couple running towards them outside. Possibly.
Gotcha.
I don't remember. I have to... Yeah, when you guys mentioned the robots, I was like, I don't remember.
It's not even like a huge thing. It's just like literally one insert shot, and that's it. And then it just
Zack Snyder and
on.
face down in his hammock again, shouting out, "Put some robot zombies in there!
Get some robot zombies in that shot!" Yeah, exactly, dude. I also like. I really like that character. I think out of all the characters, the one I really enjoyed was that I remember her name because I liked her. Her name's Chambers. She's the one that that
Coyote.
Not Coyote. She reminded me of Vasquez. The one that kills everything and then gets exploded. The first one to die.
Oh, I loved her.
She reminded me of Vasquez from Aliens. Like, she had the bandana. She had the
It's
rough, like,
funny
I'm
you
here.
mentioned that.
But go ahead. Is it her daughter or something?
It's not, but there's a lot of scenes in this movie that, if you were to play it like right next to Aliens, they're almost one-to-one.
Really? Yeah. I mean, like...
Yeah, there's a lot of lines and a lot of action scenes that are either very close to how Aliens plays out, or just straight up like, it's Aliens here. Like, I know Coyote has a few lines that are basically like same lines as they are in Aliens.
Well, then I wasn't too far off with that assumption.
Yeah, that's why I was interested that you were able to make that connection.
Well, when she survives all that shit, she stabs her way through. The dude locks her out of the room. She stabs her way through, jumps through the window, and like everybody just stands there watching. Like, nobody takes a shot at the zombies about to bite into her. I'm like, they're all just like, leave her, man, it's over. I'm like, somebody shoot! Like,
they shot that so poorly. There's 9 of them, all with guns, and there's about 10 zombies in between.
When she's looking at her friend, and she's like, go! And I'm just like, put a bullet in her head. Do her a favor. Or instead he just explodes her, which I guess works too. But I was like, you guys could have saved her. If like, there's 6 of them left at this point, right? Like, any of them could have just started firing their guns. But no, they just all stand there and watch her die.
That was just so poorly shot, I think.
Yeah, totally.
At the very least, like, that was one idea that I guess saw a completion, because I did wonder at first, like, why are they walking in with all these gas cans strapped to their back? I was like, that can't be for the helicopter, can it? And then I realized it was basically suicide vests in case like they get dominated or something. I was like, okay.
Oh, the gas are carrying on their backs.
Yeah.
I thought it was fuel for the sword.
I thought it was A and B.
Oh God.
Because I figured they only needed enough fuel to get that thing off the ground and over the wall, right? They got to get over the wall and away before the nuke hits. So they need to get away a specific distance. You got to go far. You can't just park on the other side of the wall.
I actually think you guys are probably pointing out some. You guys are probably have the right of it. I saw it at first. I was thinking like, I thought at first it was just for a saw, and I was like, why are they? They all have to carry like giant cans of gas on their backs. And then once Chambers, what's her name?
Yeah, Chambers.
Yeah, once Chambers got blown up, I was like, oh wait, no, they're suicide vests. And I thought that was kind of neat, where it's like, hey, if you get dominated by all these zombies, someone could just take a shot and like try and blow. Even though gas doesn't really work like that in real life, but whatever, Hollywood bullshit. I'll roll with it. That's something that I'll easily take as a conceit. I was like, that's kind of a neat idea, but I don't know if that was the intention. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean,
I think you guys are right. It was just supposed to be for the saw.
I think I didn't even think about it being for the saw. I assumed it was for the helicopter. The saw, I literally forgot about that weapon after the scene where he was playing with it, and the guy was like, "Don't ever touch my saw." I didn't think about it again. Like I was trying to think do I want to go back and watch just sequences with that character to see if he's actually carrying the saw around with him, or like when they're out.
It's not worth the second watch. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, if I was going to rewatch this, I would heavily fast forward.
Like, does it exist? Does it exist? So, oh, Dan, I just saw your photo. I really wish I could get your video back up.
Me too. I made Zack Snyder on the stick. I made a little prop for this, and I put yes on the back, and I was going to do this entire bit of being like, Zack Snyder, you can only make mediocre films, turn it around to show yes. Can you only say yes, turn it around to show yes?
Hang on, let me see if I can.
Bummed,
I could slide it over into this chat real quick. No, it won't show up because it's only going to film this thing, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Well, let's find out. Hang on, let me see. If I open up this call, tell me if this slides in. Yes, no?
No.
Yeah, no, it only shows the video call, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry my camera's sticking about, everyone.
It happens. Welcome to On the Fly podcasting.
Live podcast.
This is what happens when you have a guest from the UK. I'm just kidding. This never happens. It's got to be something with Discord that's being stupid today.
Zack Snyder, he's on to us. He's trying to disparage the truth.
Did they ever explain why the timetable for the nuclear drop was moved up?
Yeah, in the movie they say it's because they didn't want to do it on, I think it was July the 4th was the original intention.
Yeah, there was public outrage about it being July 4th for some reason.
So they moved it up a day. I
don't know about you, but my perception of Americans is everyone would fucking love that.
Honestly,
is that incorrect?
You could probably reframe it to be like, hey, check out this incredible fireworks display, and I don't think anyone will bat an eye.
I mean, he's trying to make a point. Like, I don't want to ruin July the 4th in any way, shape, or form, so we're gonna do it the day before. But also, it helps the movie move forward faster because those characters are moving at a leisurely pace. I'll put quotes on that. Yeah. Because they thought they had 48 hours to get in and get out, but now they're being rushed. Then they had 90 minutes, right?
That could have been something where it's like, hey, maybe. I guess at least if you introduce that in the middle of the movie, it's kind of like, why are you moving up now? That could have been something where when they were planning it originally, maybe they have it all laid out, and then they're told right before they go in, hey, everything is getting jacked up. They're moving up the timetable, and then you have that there's a point of conflict you have where characters are like, do we go forward with this, or
it's much more fun if you do it while you're in there, right? Because you're in there and someone's like, you got 48 hours to get in and get out, and then you're in the neck of it. They were in the casino already, right? They were they were like, we're here, we got to get through this, and then all of a sudden this thing comes on.
You wouldn't know it from where they filmed it.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it from where they filmed it. Also, I was like, this fucking TV has power. Like, everything in this strip should be dead, but it's not. And then, obviously, that's right. They also needed the fuel for the generator, which apparently they carried enough fuel for a generator that powers the whole fucking casino, by the way. The whole thing. The whole thing. I was like, I would be fine if they were like, this gives us enough fuel for 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes until the power dies in here. But instead they're like, we got 90 minutes left. I'm like, you guys are carrying 90 minutes worth of fuel? What fucking generator is that? Because I would like to attach that to my own house.
It's always interesting to me whenever I think about this kind of stuff. Because movies, a lot of movies have these kind of things where if you stop and say, hey, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Like Jurassic Park has that where, you know, the T-Rex steps out of the paddock and then the very next shot you realize that the paddock is like a 20-foot drop and you're like, how did the T-Rex step out of there?
Yeah, how did he step out? Exactly.
But if the movie is good, you tend to not think about those things.
Right.
And those kind of things don't really come up in your mind unless you stop and you really end up being a nitpicker later on, to like a CinemaSins or some other awful thing like that. But when a movie is bad and there's not really anything holding it together, these things compound like mad.
Yeah.
And it just your brain just starts thinking about all the things involved with it that are off and don't make sense.
I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I definitely did not think about the T-Rex scene that way because you were just
I
saw the T-Rex.
I never did until I was like an adult.
Right. Until just like you told me, somebody told me this earlier, right, in my life, and I was just like, oh shit, you're right. But it's done so well. You're in awe of that moment. You don't think about it. Like, yeah, he didn't climb out. He steps out.
Yeah.
And they tell you already how the raptors get out. They jumped out. But yeah, this movie has so many little things where I was just like, and just from the get-go, I told you guys, I was just in the beginning, I was just like, I'm out when, you know, the lady saves her daughter and you're like, oh, cool. She reconnected with her daughter and she's about to get away. And then they're just like pancake her. I was just like, do I want to watch the rest of this movie?
There goes the only characters I actually related to in the film.
I was like, oh, the mother and the daughter.
5 minutes.
I only knew them from the intro.
2 hours left.
Yeah. Weirdly, I looked at the time. I was like, that was only 2 minutes. You know,
until they like introduce Dave Bautista's daughter later on, and like they have his whole backstory revealed. I actually thought for a moment that was his wife and daughter.
Same.
Yeah, right. Like, because it made sense. Because he's like really distraught over the fact
he's really like, no, don't close him in there. And then they drop the thing on him, and he's just like fake crying poorly. You know, like
yeah. It could have been, that would have been an interesting thing where it's like, yeah, this man is, see, there's another character thing that, I mean, you could have gone that way as a choice where he really does have nothing to lose. And then he's just kind of like, sure, whatever. What do you need from me at this point? I'm a broken man. I don't have anything.
So I have one more thought. There's one more thought about Chambers. The only thing that really, really pissed me off about that character was as she comes through the window, she sees her friends. Nobody helps her, right? They just watch. Instead of saying, go, leave me or whatever, she should have been like, that motherfucker closed the door on me. like yeah. That he was standing right next to her friend
for a good like 30 seconds.
It would have been great if she just took a pop shot at him, right? Like comes through the window because he's like, oh, she's dead. She comes through the window, just looks at him, she's like, deuces, bitch.
Tried to kill me.
Yeah.
Pop up.
Yeah, deuces, motherfucker. You know, nothing. Nothing.
I just don't want that guy in the film. He doesn't have to be there.
He's pointless unless you do like what Andrew was saying. Unless you say, you guys are going to go in there and get the money, have fun. But you're also going to take this guy with you who needs a sample of the blood from me. That's what I'm paying you for. You know? Yeah. Also, like, little things. Like, when the guy was like, there's 200 million in there for you guys to take. 50 million of it is yours. 150 million of it is mine. I'd be like, if I'm stealing 200 million, I'm keeping 200 million. Yeah. Unless you send me, like, he didn't exactly send trained soldiers with him or give them any high-tech weaponry or like a new exoskeleton or a tank or anything. He gave him nothing. Yeah. You know, like I would have been like, I need this kind of gun, I need this kind of weapon, I need this kind of soldier, I need this, you know. Instead he's like, you guys go put your team together and everything. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. I do all the fucking work and you take the lion's share. Pass.
You could even had it excuse me. I have that cough. You could even had it where, like, initially I was thinking, like, you either do one or the other story. Either have it be, like, just a straight bank heist, or have it be a thing where you go in there to harvest, like, a zombie, and then it's like a cat and mouse thing. But, yeah, when you mentioned earlier, you could have had it where the guy told him, like, hey, we need you to help my head of security get a zombie sample, and there's 50 million in it for you if you can get that money out of the vault for yourself or something. That kind of complicates things, to be frank, but you could have, I guess you could have kept some of the bones. Then,
there were so many ways they could have done it. I think. Was there so many problems?
And then was there a pile of money just sitting outside with the other dead? What we believe to be the time traveler bodies that were sitting outside the vault, because they hand Batista's character a stack of cash, right? Like, and he's just like, oh, this is more money than I've ever held in my hand, and he keeps it, right? But I was like, I must have zoned out because I was like, where the fuck did that money come from? The vault's not open yet. So then
I think it was in like one of the counting chambers off to the side, just before the safe.
Okay. Well, it made sense if I saw that. Oh, right, it's where they climb the ladder to go up. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, sure. Okay, thanks for resolving that issue in my head. I actually thought it was interesting how Andrew, I think you pointed out that one of your friends said the idea at the beginning, those characters were called the Four Horsemen, and the Four Horsemen were kind of the ones bringing death, which would be the zombie master, and releasing it into Vegas, which
the City of Sin.
The City of Sin, yeah. And I like, so I can appreciate little things like that, but it's like the fact that you have to really make people think about it to get to it is kind of frustrating, because not everyone, like, I didn't think about it when I saw it. I just figured, they call those soldiers the Four Horsemen. That's cool. But in my head, I didn't go, oh shit, they bring everything else with them. Death is their leader, right? And or whatever.
In a better movie, that would definitely be like one of those things where you think about afterwards, you're like, oh, that gives like more subtext and meaning to this movie than you initially think.
In a better movie, things might actually relate to each other in meaningful ways instead of just ideas being thrown into a hat.
And then I guess the other implication was that the zombie was the zombie made from alien DNA, or was the zombie made with was it spliced together, or was it like just using alien tech to make it? I never knew that.
They don't explain any of that. I did feel like they made it a point to show the blue blood that was in the zombie. Like the baby was blue when he first takes it out, and then it becomes red, which is like our, our blood is technically blue, but it becomes red, right, with oxygen. So but they made a point to show like a blue glow, and then you'll see it when he finally shoots the dude and his head kind of splits open. You see the blue come out, right? So it makes me feel like he was a hybrid of some sort. And then you see the military dudes. First off, the military is transporting him in the beginning, and then when you see the call with the Japanese dude, I can't remember the character's name, but when you see the call with him, behind him are like military people, kind of suggesting they're like, we want your team to get back our project, which was probably some weird military. Dan, your videos looks like it's coming back to life, but
every time I always think it's going to come back, and then it doesn't.
I mean, it'd be great if it came back before we ended, and then we could see.
I'm still trying to troubleshoot.
I don't really understand.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember what else with this.
I mean, so that like I said before, like little things that bug me was like, that zombie master, it's cool that he had a helmet designed. He knew that helmet was going to protect his head, but he constantly kept taking it off. And then just like, are you just overly confident that these dudes can't hit you in the face? Because he jumps on that copter with them at the end, and he wouldn't have died if he still had his fucking helmet.
One of the guys did think he could go hand to hand with that zombie.
Yeah,
so
that dude
he was like, maybe he was like, yeah, these guys are kind of dumb. I think I can take them.
That was just dumb. And his hand wasn't broken, man. That character at the end is carrying bags of money, and then he rents an airplane or whatever, and then like his right hand I thought was supposed to be like busted.
Oh yeah, the bone came out.
Yeah, the bone came out, right? But he's just sitting there sipping champagne, like whatever. But then I was like, come on, maybe it make healed. A toast with me. Yeah, but I think
presumably bleeding out underneath the bandage, or maybe at that point the zombification had already started, and
that's what I thought. Yep.
If it was a smarter director, I think that'd be an intentional clue. But because it's Zack Snyder, I'm just assuming he forgot.
Well, I think because they show you the bite mark at the end, which is in my head, I was like, that leaves it wide open for a second part here, because he's obviously going to get to those two flight attendants and then make his way to wherever the hell he was.
You know what though? It doesn't. Well, it basically only allows the movie, if there is a sequel, to basically be a generic zombie movie, because they even say earlier that Zeus was the only one that could turn other zombies into alphas. If another alpha bit someone, it would become a shambler.
I mean, so maybe, I'm guessing the main one survived to make the
main one didn't survive though.
No, the main one had his head exploded off by Dave Bautista in the helicopter.
Maybe the son or daughter of the main zombie has the same power, and somehow the child zombie survived.
Well, you mean he had more babies than the one we saw?
I mean that's something. I'm just trying to think. We're not picking apart this like child zombie enough.
Oh God, I can't even. I don't even know where to go with it, to be honest, because it's like
I thought a zombie baby would just be fine, like come to life, but it doesn't, right?
Yeah,
it's technically dead, and that's when the dude loses his cool. But also, like, why you got your pregnant wife doing all the heavy lifting, bro? Like, she's out there like collecting all the bodies and bringing people to him. I'd be like, you rest. I'll go take care of some of this stuff for a minute. You know, like. It's just little things like that. I mean, I feel like, again, it's like I like that. I like the idea of Snyder just sitting in a hammock yelling out ideas, because he's got these. I'll put quotes on it. Cool ideas. When you're just like, that's a cool idea, but it doesn't execute properly. And he does that.
Yeah.
He does that with a lot of films. He did that with like Batman versus Superman, where there's certain parts of it where I'm like, oh, that was cool. But then he does something stupid, and you're just like, well, you just ruined that moment. This movie was like every 10 minutes. It wasn't like an occasional 30 or 40 minutes something where you're just like, I can ignore that because the rest of this is okay. But this was like every 10 minutes you're just like, what the fuck is happening in this goddamn movie? It was like if they gave us money, and like I feel like this is the kind of movie like we would film to a certain degree, because we're not big time directors, but we also watch enough horror films where we'd be like, okay, that was stupid. We shouldn't even do that idea. So let's try something different. Or if we had an idea, we'd be like, how do we evolve this idea so it's cooler at the end, or bring it back at the end? Like if we introduced the idea of a shamblers coming to life in the rain, we would have made sure shamblers came to life in the rain.
Yeah, it did. I saw one internet commenter. Basically, they summed it up as like, this movie is Chekhov's gun jammed. And it's like, yeah, that's a very apt description. Like this movie has so many ideas, and none of them come to fruition.
And
so many things are set up, and nothing pays off.
Well, I just want to be like,
you can make a list, and it would be a long list of all the things.
I'm trying to remember
all the examples of that in this film.
Does Snyder come from a music video background, or where did he get his start?
That I have no idea.
I saw on his IMDb page he had some like video shorts. I'm not sure.
Did you guys know that this movie is actually like, I was trying to find, I thought I saved this image, but apparently it's the highest grossing movie for Netflix right now.
Oh no.
Yeah,
no.
Here, let me see if I can.
Why?
I mean, it's not terribly surprising, because you got a director who, for better or for worse, is hot right now in terms of name recognition.
Yes.
You have Dave Bautista, who actually I genuinely think he's a good actor. And when he's given like good material and stuff, but like he's also very charismatic. He's very, people like to watch him and stuff. That was half the reason I watched it. So I was like, oh, Dave Bautista's in it. I'd like to see him in something.
Right.
It's been a long while since I've seen him in a movie.
I like Bautista. I mean, I didn't have a problem with Bautista in this movie at all. Really, I thought he was.
No, yeah,
he did great.
Yeah, like a lot of the actors they're not bad. Like,
I actually didn't have a problem with any of the acting. Really, I just didn't like. Yeah, it's obviously poor direction from. Like I was watching. So there's a little short like making of on Netflix too, right?
Yeah, I know of it.
I have not watched it. I watched like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of it, just to be like, I'm curious, which is just me being. I need more whiskey next time, but it has like you get to kind of get that eye of like. Like there's a part where they show him trying to light a scene. It's the scene where I think Bautista's like running on the casino tables, and then he turns around and he fires at the zombie that's like jumping towards him. But it's like him setting up kind of that shot, and you kind of see that he's got an idea in his head. It's just like you said, he had no director of photography, so director of photography might have been like, there's a better way to angle that shot. You know, like this is a shot you've seen millions of times, but how can we make this shot cooler, right? Like,
or at the very least, don't use the same lens over and over again. That has like shallow depth of field. You don't need that for all shots.
Well, he does a thing also, like, I remember when we're running a little over, but that's okay. I remember when Batman was first being introduced into that universe, and people were like not sure they wanted to see Ben Affleck as Batman. He did a bunch of stuff where he got black and white photos of Batman or Ben Affleck in costume next to the Batmobile, which we haven't seen at this point, right? The first reveal of this car was a black and white photo of him standing next to his car. And it was kind of a depressing shot, but it showed Batman like in this like state of mind where he's just like, he looks just not all there. He looks tired because he's probably tired of fucking being Batman. But the shot itself was beautiful, color-wise, composition-wise. And I looked up that camera. Like, I was like, that's an awesome black and white photo. Did he just take a regular photo and make it black and white? No, he paid like $8,000 for a specific camera. I can't remember who makes it now. Lomex, I think it was. What's the real fancy camera company? I can't remember. But it's an $8,000.
Leica?
Leica, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's designed to only shoot black and white. My point is he likes his toys. So at some point he saw that lens, filmed something with it, liked the depth of field, and was just like, what if I just make a whole fucking movie this way?
All the shots should have this.
Yeah, all the shots should just have this. Like, it's just like, I believe there is a black and white version of the Snyder Cut, right? Because he loves black and white. So he filmed it in color, and he's done a black and white version of it. Yeah, there's a black white version of it if you want to sit through it.
Do they actually have the? I don't want to see it, but
I don't want to see the whole movie in black and white. I think he's good with black and white shots, still shots. I don't think I want to see a whole Zack Snyder black and white movie. I don't think it's going to be good because it's a very hard medium to shoot in, right? Your lighting's got to be perfect, and his lighting is never perfect.
I think this whole Zombie Vegas movie has awakened some deep dark salt in me towards Zack Snyder,
Definitely,
and he's gonna have to, like, whatever his next project is, he's gonna have to knock it out of the park, and I need to see rave reviews.
You know what's gonna happen, right? He's gonna watch this whole podcast, and he's gonna message us and be like, "Here's some money, you guys do a better job."
He's gonna call us from his hammock.
Yeah,
you guys come help me.
He's gonna be on the hammock, like, get Panakal on the phone. I'll be like, robot zombies.
Definitely more.
I know they're talking about doing an animated prequel and then a sequel, I believe. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I can't imagine, like, what are you going to even cover in this? Because, like, there was, like, some interviews that asked him about, like, hey, like, what were those really the robot zombies? And then he was like, well, they might be, but see the sequel and find out. It's like, no,
they could just be performers,
Tell
right?
me right now.
Well, it's like if you watch, like, he did Dawn of the Dead, right? Like, Dawn of the Dead, it's like he does as well as movies, where it's like I said, it starts out with these cool concepts, and then it just fizzles to something that you don't like at some point. And then he also does that thing with what you just said with the robot zombies, where he's just like, you need to watch the rest to figure it out. And someone like me is like, nah, I'm okay. I don't need to watch that. But no. You guys are probably in the same boat. But, you know, he's got a huge fan base, so they'll probably go watch anything he puts out. And he's known for, you know, the Dawn of the Dead wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed it, and then I just didn't like certain things, like, you know, they built a whole bus to get out of there and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, now it's getting kind of...
Alan, I was wondering, is there tropical islands in Lake Erie?
No. There is in that universe.
Yeah, in that universe there is.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, they're living on a boat forever, and that's the other thing in that movie. Remember, they switch from regular standard filming to the Steadicam at the end, right? To kind of to show you like,
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, why? None of those characters is carrying a cell phone. Nobody's on that boat is like a
that was even before
filmmaker who's filming
had cell phone
yeah
video.
So nobody's doing any of that. But at some point, while he was filming his movie, he thought, let's make a Steadicam version for the end, and he thought it was cool. So it's just like a weird like. It's just like the stuff at the end of. Did you guys watch the Snyder Cut?
No.
Yeah.
We should do a whole talk about that. We'll do a call on that later, and maybe Dan's camera won't be
honestly
so stupid.
like. At least with the Snyder Cut, I went through it and I was like, it's fine. You should have just ended it though. When all the heroes are staying alongside each other. End it there. It would have been totally fine. Instead, you had to like do this whole masturbatory like ending epilogue thing with Jared Leto and all that. That
was my point. Like they could have ended it with just Darkseid seeing them, and they're just like, "Don't fuck with us," and you're like, "Cool." That leaves it open for the next movie.
Come to think of it, this movie kind of had a drag-on ending too. Does he just not know how to end?
He doesn't. Movies? I think all his movies have that issue, right? I mean, like
I don't think he knows how to direct, write, or shoot movies. No.
I mean, he doesn't know how to end them unless the ending is there for you, right? Like so, Watchmen, for example, it's already been written, it's completed. He used the main comic books as his storyboards. He even brought in the artist who did the main comic book, right? Minus Alan Moore, because Alan Moore had no interest in being part of that film. But 300, same thing. He brought in Frank Miller, who did the comic books, and he followed the book straight from beginning to end. So he knew how to end it. So he didn't mess around there. But then you have, Justice League is a good example. He could have ended it there, and somebody should have been like, "This is the best ending you've got. Leave it alone." But he's like, "I'm going to give you this 4-part epilogue." Two of which I was just like, what the fuck is the point of this? And then he does things in that movie where he like kind of he does like those teasers, right? Like he introduced a Green Lantern in the middle of the Amazonian fight. And I'm just like, where's the rest of them?
Did he do that kind of thing with Sucker Punch as well? I can't remember.
Sucker Punch was one of those. That movie started out having a cool concept, and then
I don't remember. Yeah, I didn't want to see it when it first came out, and like my brain is like thoroughly dumped.
It's just like one of those movies that has like the concept behind it is kind of like, okay, I kind of get it's like they're training these warriors, but they're in a dream. Their escape is this dream sequence, but I don't know, man. Like I can't figure out what his point is with that movie, and I can't figure out like why he felt the ending had to fizzle the way it did. Like it's just like even he was like, this started out cool, but then I don't remember what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Visually, that movie's got some awesome visuals, like where she's fighting the samurai guy with a Gatling gun and stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool, So he knows how to like. I feel like part of me feels like he knows how to like give you a good visual half the time, and the other half the time you're like, you need somebody who knows lighting and or good composition to come in there, because like going back to the zombie movie, a lot of the shots were just like straight shots, like as if like that's how I would film, right? Not being a director, I'd be like, oh, is everybody in the frame? Cool, this is a good shot, let's go. Give me one wide shot of Vegas and then crop into this scene here, and everything's just a straight shot. When the Queen shows up, it's a straight shot. When he's running, or it's a side shot, right? Like when they're running through the casino at the end there and all those zombies, like a good shot would have been a straight shot of Batista running towards you and the hordes of zombies chasing him, so you can be like, that's a lot of things coming to kill the man. But you don't get that. You get the side angle shot of him running. I'm gonna lay down on the floor, you run across the tables. Who gives a fuck? Like it's a cool shot to a degree, right? It's a cool like idea, but it's not the best shot he could have used. So little things like that. I don't know where I'm going with this rant.
I think that might be why I am so salty about this film, because on paper there were so many good ideas that could have had the follow through.
All of them
they set up this fun film, and it could have been that fun zombie film I was looking for. Yeah, that they promised me.
The intro pretty much promises it. Like once you get past the convoy thing, like the whole intro title sequence of Vegas slowly devolving with the zombies, that's what I wanted in the whole movie.
Yeah, I want that stretched out to like 90 minutes, please.
Yeah.
Not a 2.5 hour slog.
I mean, you just like get it, like you want. Yeah, I don't know. I can rant about this forever. It's like you get in there and you see nothing. Like the whole strip should have been full of zombies just walking around. It should have been like where they're in Dawn of the Dead, we're in the mall and they look down. You know, they're talking to the dude in the building across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And you look down and it's just a parking lot full of them. Like,
yeah, it's just a sea.
Just a sea of them. Yeah, the strip should have been that way because it's like that many people. But then I guess they kind of show you in the intro where they like nuke the town, right? They like fly by and nuke it. So, but also why not just nuke the whole town then? Like, what are you waiting for? Why did you wait so long to... And I guess that comes back to the fact that the government wants their property back.
I think there was... I'm trying to remember now. There was, I think, like a little throwaway thing with... funny enough, this... like Sean Spicer was in this briefly.
Oh yeah, like I saw that.
Yeah, it's like one of the talking heads for the zombie things or whatever. But like, I think they were kind of alluding to that where they didn't know what the best course of action would have been to take for the zombies, because I think there might have been like a plot thread where there was like talk of like, is there a way we can save them, or do we just have to collapse the town and be over with it?
See, I thought about that, but I think I was leaning heavy on the fact that the government's like, we need to get that alpha back, and he's out there somewhere still.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Like, I guess maybe knowing what the whole movie would be like, maybe rewatching it would be like, oh yeah.
If I watch anything, I'm going to watch that little brief documentary of his filming, because I'm curious, because I want to, honestly, I just want to know what his thought process is behind some of this, because I said at the beginning, and I don't think he's not. I don't think he's the worst director. I just think he makes these funky choices, and this movie is probably the only movie. It was probably one of the few movies by him I've seen where I'm just like, I hate this. I hate everything about how this is filmed. Like, people hate Batman versus Superman, and I didn't think that movie was that bad. I actually enjoy watching it. People don't like the Snyder Cut. I actually didn't hate it. There are obviously scenes where I could have been like, you could take that out. You can edit that out. That's pointless. It's a waste of it. The Snyder Cut, I understand. He's just like, I filmed all this. I'm just going to give you all of it. And it's definitely better than the Whedon version. But, you know, like, this is a one movie where I was just like, I can't. Dude, I had a hard time sitting through that. The last hour was like...
It's a slog.
Yeah, the last hour I was just like, am I going to make it to the end of this movie? And then, you know, I went from just chill, get to the end, to rage when the daughter left the room, and then he's got to go save her, and then all that, you know. and then the friend
for a second.
Well, the woman she saves doesn't even survive.
Yeah. I mean, she goes off to look for her friend in like Caesar's Palace or something, which I
the
just
Olympus. Well, is it Caesar's Palace?
Is it Caesar's Palace? I thought the Olympus was part of Caesar's Palace.
It's pretty much supposed to be Caesar's Palace. I think.
Yeah. They call it the Olympus because of rights. Sure.
Or something.
So Caesar's Palace has 3,960 rooms.
Wow.
Yeah,
and she intends to find her friend by herself in this zombie-ridden apocalypse land. Somehow.
I mean, somehow she made it from building A to building B, and that tiger didn't get a piece of her.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And there was also that point where she was like hiding in a car, and a zombie was like looking.
It wasn't just one, right?
The window was too dirty for the zombie to see. But we've already established zombies don't see. Zombies follow the heat. So the zombie would have been able to see her.
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, it is really hot out there, so
yeah, he establishes these ideas, completely forgets about them, and moves on to his next idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then he gets Batista gets to his daughter, saves her.
I wish you could see me strangling my little stick with Zack Snyder's head on it.
Well, we'll do a call on the Snyder Cut, and we'll bring your little friend back in and figure out the video. But either way, I gotta wrap this up. So, because we're about 20 minutes over. Is there anything extra you guys want to add to this? Otherwise, like, we can pick a different director next time too, because I don't want to make it feel like I'm just ragging on Snyder. But this specific film it's the first time a film has really like. It's been a while since a film has made me this mad about watching it.
Yeah. I know we talked about it briefly with the security guard. It bugs me that they don't like him throughout the whole movie. They suspect him. They're like, you're kind of shady. We don't trust you at all.
Right.
He betrays them once, but they still have the temerity to let him lead them through that gate, and then he locks them out. I feel like if you don't trust the guy, you should have been like, no, give me the card. We're going to use your card. You can stay in the middle of the pack or something.
Yeah, you wait down here. I'll go up the ladder and open that door.
Yeah.
Right at the start, they somehow get like separated enough for him to like throw the trail they were following away into another pack of zombies. Why wouldn't they be close enough to each other to see that?
I mean, he even says it, right? He's like, I can't believe you guys fell for this twice. You know,
I know.
And I'm just like,
no.
I'm like, did he just say that
like
out loud?
Reverse dramatic irony, and it just pains me so much.
He's like, muhahaha, you dumbass.
I tricked you.
But then, like you said, they bring in the saw.
Coming audience.
They bring that saw and they cut their way through. And I totally forgot about the saw until it came back into play. But now I do feel like I might briefly scrub the film just to see if that character's carrying that saw. I think it's on his back, actually. I think folds up and it's on his back.
I definitely would have liked to see more saw.
Because I don't see him like carrying it around. And he doesn't kill anything with it. Like, he doesn't kill anything with it.
I was gonna say, don't they just only use the saw to cut through like some drywall?
Yes, it's cement.
I thought it was like concrete or cement. Somehow.
I was like, how many blades is that dude carrying? But he doesn't like, you know, in the beginning of the movie, you see him cutting zombies with it and hacking them up. But they don't. That's the stupidest weapon. I'm sorry.
So we're back to that. We want to see that 2-minute credit intro as the whole film again.
That's the best part of the film, actually.
Yeah.
It's the
as soon as the mum and the daughter died, I should have stopped watching.
Oof.
That's when it peaks.
Literally.
Just before then.
When the thing falls on them, I was just like, I don't know if I can sit through more of this. And it was 2 minutes, 15 seconds is where that just happens. And I'm just like, what? But that whole, the intro sequence I thought was done really well. It had a cool, I can't remember what movie it was, but it reminded me of another opening like similar to that. And I thought, this is not so bad. It kind of had like that, is it Shaun of the Dead that did an intro like that? Just goofy, people running away from zombies getting eaten,
Zombieland? It was
Zombieland, yeah.
Oh, it was Zombieland.
Yeah, Zombieland, yeah. Which is a fantastic zombie movie.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like another Zombieland, like a fun, campy...
All right, we got to wrap it up. So unless you got something else to add.
My minor nitpick, since we're talking about that, like, I don't understand that font choice for the opening title credits. It was so weird.
Only we would look at it and be like, that's the wrong font.
Yeah.
If you wanted to just drive the point home on how to piss us off with this movie, you should have used Comic Sans in the opening.
That probably should have been the clue. That could have just been the clue. It's like, oh no.
Warning.
This
movie's not going to be good for you. I purposely put the title in Comic Sans. All right, well...
The yes I put on the back of Zack Snyder's head, I printed it off in Comic Sans on purpose for just this occasion.
Well, we'll do a thing on Snyder Cut or another director in a couple weeks here, but... let's wrap this up. Thanks for being on. Hopefully, we'll see what we'll fuck with your camera in a second here when we're off. Maybe we can figure out why it decided to drop on you. But thanks for being on early. Hopefully, we weren't too salty for anyone. We had a couple people watching, but nobody asked questions. So maybe they're all just like, these guys are right. I would love to hear from somebody who actually is like, this is my favorite Snyder flick. That'd be great. Feel free to message in the video. This will go live on YouTube probably by the end of the day. So